there is an aspect about tasting whiskey that is very important, and it may sound boring, but trust me, it is actually very important if you're going to get the best out of your whiskey. Now, what I'm talking about here is taking notes. Don't trust your memory, and also learn how to expand your experience simply with taking notes. Taking notes helps you frame and focus how you're feeling about something, and it also puts a record on it that you can refer back to later. And it can be interesting to do this more than once with the same whiskey to see how your experience changes, how your taste changes, and how the way you relate to a whiskey changes. Now, there's many ways of doing this, and there's many things out there to help you. For example, you can get simple books, and these are full of lots of information about distilleries, and they've got notes in here about resources and different ways of approaching the whiskey, such as using the tasting wheel. It'll give you examples of how to frame it, what to look out for, appley notes, vanilla notes, things like that. It might guide you into how to taste, what to look out for. But what I want to say about taking notes is, first of all, trust your own experience. I could tell you of a time when I was at a whiskey tasting when the person sat next to me, who is the first time they'd ever been to a whiskey tasting, was busy writing the notes down. They taste a whiskey, write the notes down, and at the end of it, asked to see what my notes were. They looked at my notes and then came out with this awful expression of, "Oh, I've got it all wrong," and just ripped their notes up. They hadn't got it wrong. It is simply that their experience was different to mine. And what you're recording in your notes, unless you're writing it for a professional journal or something, what you're writing down is for you. It's your notes. So that's point one. The other point is, try to find some references. Try to look at things like the tasting wheel, the spidergram. See what other people have got from their whiskey, so you can go searching for those things. But my tip here, my little word of advice, do your own notes first, so you're not overly influenced by them, so you're not getting that sense of, oh, I missed out on that, before you've even tasted it. The other thing is, what do you write in? It doesn't need to be anything great. This is a lovely book, and this is volume 1 for me. This is where I started. But there's an awful lot of pages in here that are very useful for the first time I did it. Never look back on them again for the second time or the third time, because I'd already read them and I've already got them here. The other thing about it, it's hardback and it's big, so it's not so easy to carry around with you. And you're going to be tasting whiskey all over the place. You want something that's portable. So that can be something really simple. It could just be a notebook, as long as you know what your headings are. By the way, which volume is this? This is volume 2. I've got quite a few volumes because I've tasted quite a lot of whiskey. And in my little notebook, I've stuck in other little bits of paper, little memos, little tasting notes from other people. But basically, from volume 1, I found out the headings, what to look for, to taste, the aroma. There's different stages, the initial taste, the aftertaste, the mouthfeel. I've got those headings down. Now, I've just got them in a little notebook. But that meant I had to write the headings down each time, and I didn't want to do that. It's quite useful to have that all printed down for me. So what I actually did is I moved on to actually making my own, getting my own printed. Whiskey tasting notes. This is volume 3. It's got all the headings I wanted, little tick boxes I can put down. Is it blended? Is it malt? Is it single malt? All these different categories, I can quickly just tick those off. Those are just simple objective facts. And then more space in here for the notes I want to write. Let me find a blank page. So here we are. So simply name of distillery, the brand, how old it is, how strong it is, Is it blended? Is it single? Is it malt? Is it grain? Has it got a bottle number, the date that it's bottled? All this information, appearance, nose, taste, mouthfeel, finish, any additional notes. And then I can reference that in an index at the back. So if I'm not sure whether I've had that whiskey, let's have a quick look. Yes, I have. If I have, I might taste it again and put a little note next to it. See page so-and-so. And it's all solid and it's soft back and it's easy to carry. And it's tailored for me. And I find that the tasting notes have helped me so much that I actually have adapted to other things as well. So for example, I've done the same thing with coffee. My coffee tasting notes, this is volume 1. Now, I'm going to say one more thing about making notes, and that is challenge yourself. Don't always do it in the same way. So there are times when you want to know what flavours you're getting from it. But whiskey is much more than that. It's much more than just flavours. So if you look through my notes, every now and then you'll find something else. You'll find words like cheeky. That's the word I remember putting down. Challenging. Or I might have written down something like good for a bonfire, good for a long walk. I've been to whiskey tasting events, I've been to whiskey festivals, and where I have set myself the challenge of trying to find words to describe the whiskey, quite often whiskies I've already tasted, that I've never used before, or to try to describe the whiskey as if it was a character in the film, just to try to pull out different aspects of a whiskey. So challenge yourself. It can take you places, to experiences you may not have realised you were going to go to. Taking notes is important. I've got notes here that go back over 30 years, and seeing how they've changed, especially with some of the what I would call my standard whiskies, like for example a Dalwhinnie or the Glenlivet 12-year-old, 2 whiskies that I use quite a lot if I'm at a whiskey tasting event or a whiskey festival or something like that, and I'm going to be trying lots of different whiskies, just little tastes. Every now and then I need to refresh my palate. I need to rest it, but also every now and then I need to have a base level, taste a whiskey that I'm really familiar with, so that the others can then relate to it, if that makes sense. But how I relate to those base whiskies, and I don't mean base in a derogatory way, I mean base as in they set a level, a standard, a norm. How I relate to those can also change. And that's where, again, notes come into it. It's useful to look back, see how it was, see how it is. And of course, it's not just you that's changing. The whiskies change as well. Take Middleton Very Rare, for example. The 1999 and the 2001 will taste different to each other. They've come from different vintages. And sometimes even your standards can change, can fluctuate. Especially the blends. It's worth looking at those blends as you grow experience. Look at your notes. Having a famous grouse, look at your notes. If you've had a Glenturret, if you've had a Macallan, taste those, look at your notes. Now look at your notes on the famous grouse. Are there aspects of those whiskies pulling through that you can detect? Note-taking is very important.